SouthMan. SouthMan never changes. Unless you're talking about that one Christmas special, Tidings. In that case, SouthMan does change a whole lot. So this is a podcast of SouthMan. We're actually going to call this Behind the SouthMan. That's what we're going to start calling it. In this episode, we're going to do a breakdown of episode 5.5, or also called Tidings. You can watch that episode on my YouTube channel. Another amateur post-apocalyptic film of episode of the series. So this episode is 5.5, so it's another in-between episode. It takes place between episode 5 and episode 6. And if recasts, recap of episode 5 is, the storyline, he's trying to find his nephews. He got separated from his nephews before the bombs fell, before the nuclear holocaust, and he's trying to find his nephews in faith, that believing they're there and holding on to God in the process and trusting Him. And he finds Bunker 88, where is supposed to be the location where his nephews are supposedly be. Well, if you watch the episode, he doesn't find them there, but he finds a backpack, and it has a teddy bear and a stuffed toy like a Batman. And these were, we have some flashback scenes, and these were toys that SouthMan gave his nephews before the bombs fell. And anyway, so he ends up finding a radio, and he turns the radio signal, and he ends up actually hearing a repeated message that's repeating over and over in a different language that's translated saying there's shelter in Colorado, shelter in Colorado. Well, if I know there's no dialogue in SouthMan, you don't really have dialogue in SouthMan most of the time. So if you could hear the inner thoughts of SouthMan, what he's thinking is, oh, maybe they heard that radio signal too, so my nephews are in Colorado and they've gone to that shelter. That's his thinking process. So he packs up. By the way, that's at this point he meets the dog. He gets to have the dog, and the dog is his new companion, and he goes off and gets all his supplies he needs and heads to Colorado. So it's the story is after SouthMan has traveled his way from post-apocalyptic Oklahoma all the way to Colorado. And when he gets to Colorado, we see him already looking for his nephews in Colorado, and getting some help on the way, and aiming towards where this radio signal's coming from, where this supposedly shelter is. So there's a little bit of a gap that happens between episode 5 and episode 6. We actually haven't explained what happened with SouthMan on his traveling journey to Colorado. It was definitely a long walk for him, but some things have seemed to change. Episode 5 indicates that there has been some changes that have affected SouthMan as a character, as the legend. And speaking of, we'll get to that. So let's start with a breakdown of this episode. Let's start with the theme. The theme of the episode is the concept of news. And it actually, the title itself is Tidings. Tidings is just another word for news. Bringing news is what Tidings is. Hold on, I got a drink here. And so you have a theme of news throughout the story. SouthMan, in the beginning of this episode, you see him kind of writing in his journal, which is, by the way, a new thing that we've been doing in this episode, where SouthMan actually writes in his journal. We didn't do that before, but now we're kind of doing that to tell the story. And so SouthMan writes in his journal, and he writes basically what's happening, and he's wondering, he's wanting good news about his nephews. Where are they? Where's the location where this radio repeated message is repeating. Where is this shelter that the repeated message is claiming there is? So he's wanting good news, and that is when he meets this lady in the house. And when he meets the lady in the house, she gives him good news and points him to the right direction. And then you have kind of the good news of the Christmas story being told at one point in the story, because it's a Christmas special, and kind of almost like SouthMan is good news for the lady, if you actually think about it. And the way SouthMan is good news for this lady that he meets in the episode and meets in her house is because, he willingly shares his supplies with her, and that's good news. But then you get in the end of the episode, we obviously see bad news, which is coming from this newspaper that SouthMan picks up. So there's a lot happening in this episode, but it's the theme of news. It's the theme of the Christmas story being good news, SouthMan wanting good news about his nephews, the lady pointing him the right direction by pointing a location on the map where supposedly the radio signal says the shelter is, and then it's the news he's getting from the newspaper. I think the first thing to break down is, what was the guy in the beginning? In the beginning, there's kind of this Western type, kind of like almost old Wild West stands off between SouthMan and between some guy in a gas mask. And if you notice, it's the same actor that plays the guy who stole my stuff in episode 4, which at this point we're calling the Raider, but we actually got a deeper name with him in store. But it's not the same character. It's not like the guy in the mask is also the Raider, the guy that stole SouthMan's stuff. But it is just my best friend replaying another character, a whole another character. And in this story, near the end, you see the credits, he's called the Mailman. That is what his name, he's the Mailman, and there's this battle going on. It's kind of confusing. So what's going on with this Mailman, and why is there a Mailman you may not even know he's a Mailman, but we were trying to get that idea that it was a Mailman without the dialogue. Hopefully you got the picture, he was a Mailman. But why is there mailmen in the apocalypse? Well, in fact, there is. When SouthMan travels to Colorado is a different kind of state versus like Oklahoma, whereas the beginning episodes of the series starts in as post-apocalyptic Oklahoma. Colorado is more like old America. It's returning back to the government system of old America, a republic/democracy. So reflecting old America is, yes, the mail system is coming back, but it's very amateur, it's very like Stone Ages, almost kind of like a Stone Ages age kind of feel to it, because they're using old junky newspaper to tell the news. And somebody obviously had a marker and was just writing over whatever was already on the newspaper to tell the news. Very interesting. And that newspaper, what happened is it got rained on, it was all torn up and destroyed. I thought, oh, this is perfect. It's in the post-apocalyptic period. This is going to be the mail we're going to use. And when you're seeing this mailman, the mail systems come back, but what you're confused about is he takes a look at this newspaper, and then he starts charging SouthMan after what he read in the newspaper and what he saw. And you find out later in the end of the episode why. There's a picture And actually that picture is a picture of SouthMan himself. If you have some time, go and watch a separate series I have. It's called the Trio series. I have a playlist on my channel, and the first one is Treasure Hunt Trio, and it's kind of like a treasure hunt, hunting, cool treasure hunt hunting kind of adventure thing. And my nephews, when we were filming that, the image, the photo, the picture that you see is a picture of me in the hat and the costume that I was wearing for the Treasure Hunt Trio, Treasure Hunt Adventure movie. And you're wondering, why do they have a picture of that, of SouthMan, in that newspaper? And so he takes a look at that, and that's the image they're using to say that SouthMan is the legend of the SouthMan. He is a wanted man. That's pretty much the headlines or the news. And in this world, I guess they don't take the time to really get detailed when they explain the news. They just use headlinings, because obviously they don't know how to spell too. And that was actually my mistake. I don't know why I did that. I should have made the W into a W, not an N, but that's just how I markered it. And I said, we're going to leave it like that, like people have spelling problems in the apocalypse. Anyway, and the news shows this, and he says he's a wanted man, but SouthMan's a legend. And so when this mailman sees the photo of SouthMan in that moment, this kind of like old Western standoff between them two, he realizes, oh, SouthMan's a wanted man. I could get an award. I mean, what if I get an award? What if they award me with supplies and money, or I don't know if money's even worth during this period anymore, but, giving me supplies, foods, shelter, I could be awarded with something if I kill this man or capture him or whatever. So this crazy, and that's what he is, this crazy mailman charges SouthMan with just a stick. I mean, it's crazy, because people, I guess, are going crazy. And SouthMan in this moment gets all macho, like kind of superhero-like, where he's pulling out a boomerang, and he knocks the guy out with a boomerang, out of all things, and then pulls out his gun. And you see at the end of the episode, he pulls out his gun, and he doesn't actually shoot the mailman, because I guess SouthMan realizes, oh, this mailman's not worth it. Why waste my ammo on this guy? And SouthMan's got some morals that he does, some codes that he does live by. So, and it's like a Christmas special too. There is different stories happening like a Christmas special, and the episode starts with the battle between the mailman, and then it's 1 hour before that's most of the episode's happening, which is like, I don't know how that happens in 1 hour. Days like 24 of the show, but and basically SouthMan's journaling, about, oh, I can't find my nephews, and like I said, he ends up finding the lady and going to this lady's house, and talks to her. Well, they don't talk, but she points him on the map where the location of this shelter that's in Colorado, where SouthMan believes his nephews are. Well, during that time too, he's journaling about, oh, what day is it? Can I remember it? He ends up finding this post-apocalyptic Christmas star, and it jogs his memory, and he remembers it's Christmas. It's kind of weird on this episode how we show SouthMan's memory coming back to him. He's remembering Christmas, Christmas commercials, and it's weird that he's remembering Christmas commercials, and he goes, oh, I remember, it's Christmas. That is the day that it is. Today it's Christmas. And so that is how get in that. And there's very much the Christmas spirit in this whole episode. The woman's house that we chose to film, she really did. It's sad, but her house burned down, and it's very sad what happened. Me and my friend tried, like I said, my friend and I tried to go down there and, help her out by filming a movie, provided some food, and we just were trying to be the hands and feet of Christ to this lady. And also, in the film, I read the Christmas story in Luke to her, and it was a good experience. It was kind of cool because we not only film a movie, we got to do ministry in the process. Her story is sad, and we tried to I kind of used the film a little bit to talk about it, to promote it. I used the film also to kind of, like I said, not just tell the Christmas story, but show it. I'm like, well, why does Post-Apocalyptic have anything to do with the Christmas story? Well, it's because I just used SouthMan as a medium to tell the Christmas story. I had that one part where he's reading out loud to the Wasteland lady, is what we call her, in her house, out loud the Christmas story, which is very interesting in that scene. I decided to break an important rule in SouthMan, is that anytime the series is taking place in the present, that is the post-apocalyptic period, not the past with the old footage from before the bombs fell, but anytime we have in the present, there is no talking. I broke the rule intentionally. It didn't work out as well because there was weird background, and obviously this is an amateur YouTube film. I get it, but we kept that in there, and we broke that rule, and we did that. So that was very interesting, kind of to work with her, Kathy, and her part in trying to tell the story of the Wasteland